Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever walked through a park and just felt that it was perfect? Or noticed how a building seems to fit into its surroundings just right? Well, I'm here to tell you that's not magic. It's actually the hidden science and art of landscape design. And today, we're going to pull back that curtain and see how it all really works. So let's just jump right in with a question to get the wheels turning. What on earth could a giant skyscraper and a lush, healthy forest possibly have in common? I mean, they seem like complete opposites, don't they? One is like the peak of human engineering, and the other is nature doing its thing.
And the answer is actually really simple, but it's also incredibly profound. For both of them to succeed, they have to start by understanding the ground they stand on. You've got to know the land itself before you can build up or grow up. Honestly, that's the key to everything we're going to talk about.
Which brings us to our first big idea. You see, every piece of land has this kind of invisible blueprint, a set of instructions written right into its shape and form. And the very first job for any designer is learning how to read that map.
So how do we read this invisible blueprint? Well, we use something called contour lines. Now, don't worry, it's not as technical as it sounds. Just imagine tracing a line around a hill where every single point on that line is at the exact same height. That's it. That's a contour line. The best way to think of them? They're like the land's own unique fingerprints.
And just like fingerprints, they tell a really clear story. When you see those lines packed super close together, you're looking at a steep slope, a real climb. But when they're spread way out, that's a gentle, easy slope. It's the most basic rule, but man, it is a total game changer for understanding what you're working with.
Okay, here's a little pro tip for you. Keep an eye out for V-shapes on a contour map, because they tell you exactly how water is going to move. If the V is pointing uphill toward the higher ground, you've found a valley where water's going to collect and flow. But if that V points downhill, you're on a ridge, and water's going to split and flow away. It's so cool. Follow the V's, and you'll understand the flow.
All right, let's do a quick pop quiz, see if you've got it. Based on what we just covered, if you see those V-shaped lines pointing towards a higher elevation, what does that mean you're looking at? A ridge, a valley, or a summit? Just think about where the water's got to go. And yep, if you said B, valley, you are absolutely right. You're getting the hang of reading the blueprint.
So now that we can read the map, what do we do with that info? Well, that brings us to our next step. We have to use that knowledge to make really smart decisions. This is all about site analysis, or like we have here, finding that perfect sweet spot for whatever it is we want to build.
And this table just illustrates that perfectly. You'd think that completely flat land would be the best, right? But take a look at that top row. A slope of 0 to 1% is actually poor, because water has nowhere to go. It just pools up, causing all sorts of problems. The real sweet spot, the ideal range for buildings, roads, even playgrounds, is a gentle 1 to 4% slope. It's just enough for water to drain away naturally. Go any steeper and things get complicated and expensive real fast.
But what if the land isn't perfect? What if you don't have that sweet spot? Well, that's when we shape it. And this leads us to the incredible art of grading, which is pretty much large-scale sculpting of the earth to make it work for us.
And the main technique here is this beautiful process called cut and fill. It's so simple and so smart. First, you find the high spots you need to bring down. That's the cut. Then, you find the low spots that need to be brought up. That's the fill. The real magic happens when you can take the soil from the cut and move it directly to the fill. The ultimate goal? What's called a balanced site. That means you don't have any leftover dirt to haul away, and you don't need to bring any new dirt in. It's incredibly efficient, and it saves a ton of money.
And when we're thinking about how to manage water on our newly shaped land, we can use these brilliant, eco-friendly tools, like a swale. Instead of some ugly concrete drain, a swale is just this gentle, grassy dip in the ground. It guides the rainwater where you want it to go, sure, but it also lets that water soak back into the earth, getting filtered by the plants along the way. It's just a really simple, elegant solution.
Okay, so we've read the land, we've shaped it. Now it's time to bring in the living elements. Nature's building blocks, plants. But listen, we are not talking about just making things look pretty. In smart landscape design, plants are basically high-performance tools. They have jobs to do. And check this out. This is a perfect example of nature's own climate control system. It's genius. You plant deciduous trees, the ones that lose their leaves in the fall, on the south and west sides of a house. Why? Because in the summer, their leaves give you what we call smart shade, blocking out that hot sun. But in the winter, the branches are bare, letting all that lovely warm sunshine stream in. And on the cold, windy north side, that's where you plant evergreens to create a windbreak that protects the house all year round. It's just brilliant. Okay, quiz time again. So if you want to create that perfect, smart shade on the west side of your house, blocking the hot summer sun but letting the winter sun in, what kind of tree are you going to plant? An evergreen? A deciduous tree? Or maybe a cactus? The answer, of course, is B, deciduous. You got it.
Plants can also completely control what we see. Let's say you've got an ugly view of a parking lot, or maybe your neighbor's overflowing trash cans. That's when you use screening. You plant a dense hedge or some shrubs to create a living wall that just makes it disappear. But what if you have an amazing view, like a mountain in the distance? Well, then you use framing. You plant trees on either side to create a kind of natural window that perfectly directs your eye right to the beautiful stuff.
And trust me, their superpowers do not stop there. A really thick belt of trees and shrubs can actually reduce traffic noise by 5 to 10 decibels, which is a big deal. And if you've got a steep slope, planting ground cover is essential. Their roots act like a natural net, literally holding the soil together and stopping it from washing away in a big storm. Plants are the ultimate multitaskers. All right, so this all brings us to our final and maybe most important section. How do we design landscapes that aren't just great today, but are also smart, sustainable, and totally ready for the future?
A fantastic example of this is something called xeriscaping. It's especially crucial in drier parts of the world. So instead of fighting a constant battle to keep a thirsty green lawn alive, xeriscaping is all about working with nature. It uses beautiful plants that don't need a lot of water, things like succulents, along with materials like gravel and super efficient irrigation, to create these stunning landscapes that save an incredible amount of water.
And the absolute key to all sustainable design is choosing the right plants. Think of it like this. Native species are the heroes of our story. They've evolved over thousands of years to thrive in your specific climate. That means they need less water, they don't need fertilizer, and they can handle the local pests. But on the other side, you've got the villains, invasive species. These are non-native plants that can spread like wildfire, choking out the native plants and completely destroying the local ecology. The choice you make in your garden really matters.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this final thought. Your backyard, the park down the street, the land around an office building, it's not just a piece of property. It's a small piece of a much bigger ecosystem. And so the real question we all have to ask ourselves is the one right here. Are we being good stewards? Are we working with that ecosystem, or are we working against it? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.